Part 1. You will hear a conversation between a university housing office staff and a student. First, you have some time to look at question 1 to 5. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Hello, University Housing Office. This is Rachel speaking. How can I assist you?
Hi. Hi, my name is Reid. I'm looking into accommodation for next year, and I was told your office could help me.
Of course, Lucas. How do you spell your last name, please?
It's Reid, R-E-I-D.
Thank you. Now, can I start by, confirming your student ID number for our records?
Sure. Let me have a look. Yes, here it is. It's 20 28147.
Thanks. I see you're currently living in Maple Hall. Are you looking to stay there, or are you considering a change?
I'd like to move somewhere quieter. Maple Hall is nice, but it can be pretty noisy at times.
I completely understand. Many second-year students prefer university apartments. They're quieter and they offer more independence.
I think I'd like that. What about single-bedroom units? Are they available? And how much do they cost?
Single rooms are popular and priced at $700 per month. Shared rooms are slightly cheaper at $600 per month. Both include utilities like water and electricity.
That's reasonable. What about furniture? Would I need to bring my own?
Not at all. Each unit is fully furnished with essentials, including beds, desks, and kitchen appliances.
That's great to hear. And when can I apply for a unit?
Applications open on March 1st, and they're first come, first served. I recommend applying early as spaces fill up quickly.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 6 to 10.
I recommend you to start the application as soon as you can, because I know many students miss out on one because of the delayed application.
Thanks for letting me know. Do I need any additional documents to apply?
No, just your completed application form. Once it's submitted, you'll get a confirmation email.
Got it. By the way, I plan to bring my car next year. Is parking available at the apartments?
Yes, but you'll need a permit, which costs $120 per year. Parking spots are assigned on a first-come, first-served basis.
That's good to know. Are the parking lots close to the buildings?
Most are right next to the apartments, or within a short walking distance.
That's convenient. What about shared facilities? Are there any gyms or study areas in the apartments?
Yes, most apartment buildings have a gym, a common lounge, and quiet study areas. Which of these would you use most?
Probably the gym. I enjoy working out.
Great. Now, have you heard about the university's sustainability initiative?
No. What's that?
Starting next semester, all housing will transition to renewable energy. The apartments, for instance, will be powered entirely by solar energy.
That's impressive. I think it's an excellent step towards sustainability.
We agree. Lastly, have you considered joining any activities or events organized for apartment residents?
I'm open to it. What kinds of activities are available?
There's a wide range, from movie nights to sports meetups. For instance, there's a basketball club that meets weekly at the campus gym.
That sounds interesting. I won't mind if there is a trainer available for my gym workouts.
I am sure the fitness coach will be there. Well, if you don't have any other questions, feel free to contact us anytime.
Thank you so much for your help, Rachel.
You're welcome. Good luck with your application. Goodbye for now.
That is the end of part 1. You now have some time to check your answers. Now turn to part 2. Part 2, you will hear a speech from Dr. Green about collecting food in the nature. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's session, where we're thrilled to have Dr. Eleanor Green, an expert in ecological sustainability and wild foraging. Dr. Green has spent decades researching the safe and sustainable collection of wild foods, and she's here to share her extensive knowledge. Over to you, Dr. Green.
Thank you so much, and hello everyone. Foraging is a fascinating and rewarding activity, but as with most things in nature, it comes with responsibilities. Today, I'll be covering safety tips, best practices, and how we can forage sustainably while preserving ecosystems. First, let's talk about safety. This is absolutely crucial when foraging for plants and fungi. My number 1 rule is simple. Never consume anything unless you're completely sure about its identification. Many edible plants and fungi have dangerous lookalikes, and even experts can sometimes be misled by a slight variation in appearance. If you're in doubt, leave it alone. And while books and apps can help, they are no substitute for learning from a skilled forager or naturalist in the field. Next, avoid foraging in areas where the environment may be contaminated. For example, plants growing near factories, landfills, or busy roads can absorb heavy metals and harmful chemicals. Similarly, water plants near industrial zones can be toxic. Another key point is to avoid areas where agricultural pesticides or herbicides might have been used. Foraging on private property without permission is not only illegal but also dangerous. Landowners may have treated the area with substances you're unaware of. The good plan would be to avoid such a calamity as a fire on public property. Now, I often get asked about the tools and methods of foraging. To harvest plants and fungi sustainably, it's best to use a knife or scissors rather than pulling them out by hand. This protects the roots and ensures the plant can regrow. When collecting, use a breathable basket or cloth bag rather than a plastic one, which traps moisture and accelerates spoilage. And here's a pro tip: never take all the plants or mushrooms from one spot. Always leave some behind for wildlife and to allow regeneration. Let me dispel some common myths about foraging. For instance, you might have heard that mushrooms with white stems and gills are always safe to eat. This is completely false. Some of the deadliest species have these characteristics. Another misconception is that cooking destroys all toxins. While it's true for certain plants and fungi, many toxins are heat-stable and remain dangerous even after cooking. Also, don't assume that plants eaten by animals are automatically safe for humans. Some plants, like yew berries, are harmless to birds but highly toxic to us. Sustainability is a cornerstone of ethical foraging. It's not enough to take only what you need. You must also tread lightly, avoiding damage to surrounding plants or ecosystems. For example, when harvesting wild garlic, focus on taking just a few leaves from each plant rather than uprooting them entirely. And always respect protected species. Picking these can result in heavy fines and long-term damage to fragile habitats.
Before you hear the rest of the speech, you have some time to read questions 16 to 20. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 16 to 20.
Now, let's talk about where to forage. Woodland edges, riverbanks, and open meadows are some of the best spots because they offer diverse plant life. Urban green spaces, like community gardens, can also be surprisingly fruitful if they're pesticide-free. But timing is everything. Early mornings are ideal because plants are freshest and less likely to have been disturbed by people or animals. However, be aware that some public spaces prohibit foraging, so always check local regulations before you begin. If you're just starting out, I recommend joining a guided foraging group. There's no better way to learn than from an experienced forager who can point out edible plants, explain their uses, and warn you about dangerous lookalikes. Books and apps can support your learning, but they can't replace real-life practice. And as I said earlier, being absolutely certain about your identification is essential. Once you've collected your finds, proper storage is key. Leafy greens should be wrapped in a damp cloth and stored in the fridge, where they'll stay fresh for up to 2 days. Mushrooms should go in a paper bag, never plastic, and kept in a cool, dry place. Roots, like wild carrots, can be washed and stored in a container of water to keep them crisp. But remember, wild foods are best eaten as soon as possible to maximize their flavor and nutritional value. Speaking of flavor, wild foods can transform your cooking. For example, wild mint makes an excellent addition to teas and desserts. while nettles are great in soups or even as a substitute for spinach. That said, some wild plants have very strong or bitter flavors, so start by using small quantities until you're familiar with their taste. Wild garlic, for instance, is delicious but can easily overpower a dish if overused. Experiment, but do so thoughtfully. In conclusion, foraging is a wonderful way to connect with nature and diversify your diet. But it's not just about collecting food, it's about respecting ecosystems, protecting species, and ensuring that future generations can enjoy this activity too. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
That is the end of part 2. You now have some time to check your answers. Now turn to part 3. Part 3. You will hear a conversation between two students. They are discussing about future urban planning. First, you have some time to look at question 21 to 24. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 24.
Hey Sarah, how'd you find the seminar?
Yesterday's seminar on climate change and its impact on urban planning was fascinating. It was amazing to look at how cities have evolved to deal with environmental challenges.
Definitely. It was interesting to hear about the response to the Great Smog of London in the 1950s, how it forced changes in policy.
Yes, that event was catastrophic, but so pivotal. I had no idea that such environmental disasters could spur urban transformation.
What struck me was how slow the response was. Despite the scale of the disaster, it took years for real action to happen.
True. It makes you wonder if today's cities are moving fast enough to address current challenges like rising sea levels.
Absolutely. And the predictions about the future of cities, like the use of renewable energy and smart infrastructure, were so optimistic. Sometimes I feel these ideas are too ambitious.
Yes. For instance, the claim that all cities will run entirely on renewable energy by 2050 will be false. I can't see that happening soon.
Same here, and the notion that cities will become completely resilient to climate disasters by mid-century seems far-fetched.
And the idea that people will work fewer hours because of these advancements doesn't seem realistic either, does it?
No, not really. If anything, people are working longer hours now than ever before.
What about unemployment falling? Do you think that's realistic?
Not in the short term. Maybe in a few decades, but definitely not soon.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to read questions 25 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 25 to 30.
Another thing that stood out was how some professions have adapted to environmental changes. For example, architects.
Yes, you'd think technological advances might have replaced some of their roles, but they're more important than ever.
Exactly. With green building designs and renewable materials, their work is critical now.
And the demand for eco-consultants has skyrocketed. I didn't know this profession even existed a decade ago.
Same here. It's amazing how many new jobs have emerged in the sustainability sector.
Take urban farmers, for instance. It's a profession that's grown significantly. More people are producing food locally, especially in cities.
Right, and that's because of the push for sustainable living and reduced carbon footprints.
What about manual labourers in construction? It seems like the sector has completely transformed due to automation and technology.
It has. These jobs are far more technical now. Workers are trained to use drones and AI systems for planning and surveying.
And then there are professions that have declined dramatically, like coal miners.
Yes, there's almost no demand for that now because of the shift to renewable energy.
Care workers, though, are in huge demand. People are living longer, and the need for elder care is at an all-time high.
Exactly. It's a sector that will continue growing for decades.
Bank tellers, though, that's a different story.
Definitely. Most of their work has been automated with online banking and ATMs. It's hard to imagine the role even existing in the future.
That is the end of part 3. You now have some time to check your answers. Now turn to part 4. Part 4. You will hear a part of a lecture on the evolution of artificial intelligence in healthcare. First, you have some time to read question 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Today's lecture delves into a fascinating topic, the evolution of artificial intelligence in healthcare. AI has transitioned from being a theoretical concept to an integral part of modern medical systems. Its applications range from diagnosing diseases to predicting patient outcomes, and even assisting in surgical procedures. However, its growth hasn't been without challenges, and understanding these is key to appreciating the role AI will play in the future. AI in healthcare began with basic tools for data management. Initially, its role was limited to storing patient records and processing routine administrative tasks. Over time, as algorithms became more sophisticated, AI started to tackle clinical tasks. Today, machine learning algorithms are capable of analyzing complex data sets to detect diseases such as cancer at earlier stages than traditional methods. These advancements underscore the importance of integrating AI into diagnostic processes, making it a vital element of modern medicine. Despite these advancements, there are concerns about AI's accuracy. Machine learning models are only as good as the data they are trained on. For example, if an AI system is trained on biased datasets, it may deliver inaccurate results. This bias can inadvertently lead to disparities in healthcare outcomes for certain populations, a serious ethical concern. Additionally, Many hospitals struggle with data integration issues, as their systems are outdated and cannot easily adopt AI solutions. These technological and systemic challenges highlight why AI adoption in healthcare remains difficult. One of AI's most promising applications is predictive analytics. By analyzing patient histories, AI can forecast potential health risks. For instance, wearable devices that collect real-time data can send alerts to physicians when abnormalities are detected. This capability enables proactive care rather than reactive treatment. However, questions about data privacy and security often overshadow these advances, as patients are understandably concerned about how their sensitive information is handled. Balancing innovation with security will remain a significant challenge. Another area where AI has shown promise is in robotic surgery. Robots guided by AI can perform intricate procedures with precision and consistency, reducing human error. For example, AI-powered surgical robots have demonstrated greater accuracy in joint replacement surgeries. However, critics argue that while robots are incredibly efficient, they lack the intuition and adaptability of human surgeons. Training doctors to effectively use these tools is another hurdle, as the learning curve can be steep and challenging. AI is also making strides in drug discovery. Traditional methods of developing new medications are slow and expensive, often taking years to bring a drug to market. With AI, researchers can analyze chemical compounds and predict which ones are most likely to succeed in clinical trials. This process, known as computational drug discovery, has already accelerated the development of life-saving medications, proving its potential to revolutionize the pharmaceutical industry. Yet, AI models must be carefully validated to ensure their predictions are accurate. On a global scale, AI has begun addressing healthcare inequalities. In low-resource areas, AI-powered diagnostic tools can assist where trained medical professionals are scarce. Mobile apps equipped with AI can guide community health workers in identifying illnesses and recommending treatments. However, global adoption requires a focus on infrastructure, training, and access to technology. Without this, AI's impact will remain limited in these regions. The ethical implications of AI in healthcare cannot be overlooked. Who is responsible when an AI system makes an incorrect diagnosis? How do we ensure algorithms remain unbiased? These are questions that require collaboration between healthcare providers, technologists, and policymakers. Establishing clear guidelines and accountability frameworks is critical to building trust in AI systems. Without trust, these technologies will struggle to achieve widespread acceptance. Looking forward, education and awareness will play pivotal roles in the success of AI in healthcare. Medical schools have started incorporating AI into their curricula, preparing future doctors to work alongside these systems. Patients also need to understand the benefits and limitations of AI to make informed decisions about their care. By fostering an informed public, we can promote a smooth adoption of AI technologies. Finally, global partnerships are essential for advancing AI in healthcare. Collaborations between nations, organizations, and industries will enable the sharing of resources, data, and knowledge. By working together, we can ensure that AI evolves in a way that benefits everyone, making it a truly collaborative tool in addressing global health challenges. In conclusion, while the potential of AI in healthcare is immense, it requires a careful balance of innovation, ethics, and collaboration. Only by addressing these factors can we ensure that AI becomes a transformative force in creating a healthier, more equitable world. With the right strategies, AI can deliver results that are beneficial for everyone, regardless of geography or resources.
That is the end of part 4. You now have some time to check your answers.